Well, welcome on behalf of the staff and directors of Community Bank of Elmhurst to what by my count is the 28th Elmhurst Mayor's State of Our City Address. By my count, this is the 28th Mayor's State of Our City Address and the 26th to be held here at Community Bank of Elmhurst. So, in other words, 25 years ago, we were here with the first address, and that was, by coincidence, John Quigley's first year with the Chamber of Commerce. It would have been in early 2000, because he started in 1999. Let's all give John a round of applause on his retirement. For those of you who don't know, there is a planned retirement party for John next door at the Elmhurst American Legion THP Post 187 on February 28th. Silence those phones and pagers, please. That will be next door. You can get tickets for that event at elmhurstchamber.org. And coincidentally, when I was on the Chamber Executive Board more than 25 years ago, I reserved the name elmhurstchamber.org for the Chamber for some new thing called the Internet. I hear it never really made it, but that's where that came from. A couple other quick things I want to mention about our community in particular. Next year is the centennial celebration for Elmhurst Hospital. So there's some folks from Elmhurst Hospital here, including Kim Derry, the president. So let's give them a round of applause as they prepare for that. And then, of course, the 250th anniversary of our great country. And how about let's give a round of applause to the United States. I want to just mention a few things about our directors. We have our chairman of the board all the way from Arizona/Colorado, George Hammersmith in the back. And our long-term director and friend to many in the community, Dr. Larry Carroll, retired at the end of last year. He can't be with us here tonight, but in case you didn't hear that, and if you see Larry, you'll still see Larry in the community. He's just not going to go away. He's always active in this and that, and he's a friend to many of us. So just know that he retired from Elmhurst University. We've had a lot of natural disasters lately in our country, including a hurricane which didn't just do damage to the coast, but far inland, and we all know about what happened there and the lives and property that were lost. The senseless killing of innocent people in New Orleans recently, and then of course the horrible wildfires that are still raging in Southern California. And I want to take a minute to recognize our first responders, but before we do that, I'd like to take your attention, and I know you can't see it on camera, but there is a picture over on the west wall that our chief, Dick Dufort, took in, as I recall, December of 2001 from ground zero, from a rooftop. And that was back before we had the little iPhone landscape where you'd turn and you'd get a landscape picture. So that's a number of pictures that Dick took, and either he or somebody else smarter than him and I put together. Probably right, Dick? Put that together and made a landscape photo of it. So that's over there along with the Elmhurst First Responders Memorial that was dedicated this past 9/11. So could we please ask all first responders to remain seated and everybody else stand up and give them a round of applause. So The end of one legacy is the beginning of another. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to somebody who you probably already know, the current president and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She was a small business owner, a small business coach. She serves as an alderman in the first ward of Elmhurst, which means she's obviously a resident. She was most recently the director of member services at the Chamber of Commerce. She volunteers both with the USO and several dog rescue organizations. And to get to know her better, I would selfishly point you to listen to the latest edition of a great podcast, the E-Town Lowdown, where we interviewed Jennifer and her mother, and it's a great story. You'll get to know Jennifer a little bit better, but I hope she comes back on the Lowdown and we get to know her very well. But it's a great story, so I would encourage you to listen to it. Without any further ado, the president and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce, Jennifer Veremis.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating in our Chamber's annual State of the City Mayoral Address. Thank you to the Community Bank of Elmhurst for graciously hosting us again this morning. It's an incredible honor to stand before you as your new president and CEO. While this might be a new title, my commitment to Elmhurst and its business community is something I've been building for over 2 decades. Elmhurst has been my home for more than 25 years, from starting a business here when I was 24 to building a life with my family. I've always felt deeply connected to this community. That profound sense of community, something instilled in me through my heritage, has been at the forefront of everything I do. My journey to becoming a business owner started with a deeply personal challenge: caring for my mother during her long battle with cancer. Witnessing her strength and resilience in the face of adversity while also needing to feel beautiful and confident inspired me to create a natural nail care salon unlike any other. I prioritized hospital-grade sanitation and partnered with female-owned businesses to offer organic products long before it was commonplace. To make this dream a reality, I did what any determined, broke 20-something-year-old would do. I cashed in my change to help fund my venture. My business was built on 4 pillars: quality, customer service, consistency, and community. These pillars guided every decision, shaping our success. And for almost 2 decades, we were more than just a place to get your nails done. We created jobs, participated in community events, donated to local causes, collaborated with fellow businesses. And of course, we were proud members of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce. I share this with you because my journey as a small business owner drives me today. It taught me firsthand the heart and soul it takes, the long hours, the challenges, and the victories. And I know many of you in this room know exactly what I'm talking about. But more than just hard work, my journey taught me the value of community support. I learned that success isn't achieved alone. And I know my positive experience of growing a business and a team was in part possible because the Elmhurst Chamber advocated and collaborated on my behalf, allowing me to focus on building my business. The Chamber is where people and businesses merge. Our Chamber is a partnership that can open new doors to opportunities, connections, and growth. We offer programs, resources, and advocacy to help your business succeed. From increasing your visibility and providing networking opportunities to championing business-friendly policies. Speaking of partnerships and networking, please take a moment to look around this room. Take a moment, it's okay. Take a look. I've attended this event for years, and I'm always so impressed by the dedication and passion here today. It's through the active involvement of each of you that we can truly make a difference. The future of Elmhurst is not something that happens to us. It's something we create together, and the Chamber will join you in that creation. If you're already a Chamber member, consider becoming more involved. If you're not a member, consider joining and giving the Chamber a chance to positively impact your business and sense of community. Whether you're a member or not, become more active in the Elmhurst community. Join a nonprofit board, become a service club member, attend civic events, support local businesses and groups. I guarantee you'll find it incredibly rewarding. In my new role, I'm committed to a smooth transition. I envision 2025 as a year of steady progress, building on our strengths and exploring new opportunities to serve our members and our city better. It's an honor to lead this organization into the future. Together we share a vision for a more prosperous, connected, and vibrant community, and I'm eager to work towards this vision with all of you. A special thank you to Mayor Levin, the City of Elmhurst, elected officials, Elmhurst University, School District 205, the Elmhurst Park District, Elmhurst Library, Elmhurst Hospital, and our business alliances for your ongoing partnerships. Thank you to our members for your support and dedication, and to our Board of Directors for your guidance and leadership. I am especially pleased to introduce you to our new board chair, Angela Villegas, Vice President at Lakeside Bank. Please welcome Angela.
Thank you. I've been attending this event many years. Never did I envision myself standing up here, but here I am. And thank you for pronouncing my last name right. Good morning. It's an honor and privilege to stand before you as your newly appointed chairman of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce. I'm humbled by the trust that has been placed in me, and I'm committed to serving this organization and our community. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Angela Villegas, and as Jennifer mentioned, I'm Vice President of Lakeside Bank here in Elmhurst. I attended high school here in Elmhurst, IC High School, now known as IC Catholic Prep. I also have proudly called Elmhurst my home for over 20 years. My husband and I chose Elmhurst not just as a place to live, but as a place to raise our 2 children, and I couldn't be prouder of that decision. I always said I would move out when my youngest graduated high school. 7 years later, I'm still here. I don't see myself going anywhere, and I heard that I might get sidewalks on my block, so I'm staying. Thank you. Over the years, I've been fortunate to see Elmhurst grow into this thriving, close-knit community it is today. From its outstanding schools, to our parks, to our library, to its vibrant local businesses, Elmhurst is truly a place where families and businesses alike can thrive. Congratulations to our new president and CEO, Jennifer Verimas. My goal is to work closely with you and all of our board members to ensure that every member of the chamber feels valued, heard, and empowered to succeed. I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude and congratulations to John Quigley for your 25 years of service. Thank you for your hard work, dedication, and commitment. Thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to a great 2025. Now I want bacon. Thank you.
Maybe the mayor will address whether you really will get sidewalks or bacon for that matter. I forgot to mention a couple things when I was referring to the picture from Ground Zero on the wall over there. First of all, I want to thank our director, Mary Ann Gorski, that helped us with the layout of that. And the other thing that, I didn't really tell the story, but as Chief Dufort explained to me, there were a group of firefighters from Elmhurst that went and helped with the cleanup down at Ground Zero in 2001. So that's why he was not the chief then, far from it, right? Dick and I are the same age, so I can make fun of how old he is. We went to school together. But there were a group of firefighters, right, Dick, that from Elmhurst that went and volunteered at Ground Zero, am I correct? 5 groups? Wow. So that's really neat, and that's the significance of that picture, which I forgot to mention earlier. By my count, I said there's been 28 of these. 12 times Mayor Tom Marcucci addressed this group, 10 here and 2 at other locations before we moved here. Then Mayor DeCiani addressed it 3 times, and then there was this little blip. We'll get back to that. And then the 3 floods. And then Mayor Steve Morley addressed this group 8 times. And now for the 5th time, he's in his first term, so how is that? Oh yeah, he's the little blip, the interim mayor. Scott, he gets better every year. The other mayors were just kind of like this. Some got more verbose, Tom Marcucci, each year, but our current mayor, he tends to get a little bit better each year, and practice makes perfect. May I introduce to you the Honorable Mayor of the City of Elmhurst, Scott Levin.
Well, good morning. I'm a little edgy and uncomfortable right now because I got up this morning and I went to turn the light on in the bedroom. The dimmer switch spun right off in my hand, made a pot of coffee, and the handle cracked off. I'm sitting there holding the handle. Then when I went to leave, the doorknob came off in my hand. So I've been afraid to go to the bathroom all day. But I'll make it through this. It's better than the joke Morley gave me, believe me. So thank you, first of all, to our co-sponsors, to the Chamber. Congratulations, Jennifer and Angela, for your new positions. I know you'll both do very well. Great, as a matter of fact. The Community Bank of Elmhurst, every year sponsoring us, providing us with this room and a wonderful breakfast. And George Hammersmith, who I'm teaching how to golf, and Rich Reichert, thank you both. I also want to acknowledge our city council members, and if you would please rise so I can see who's here. All right, would you take attendance, Rich? Jacob Hill, Guido Nardini, Tina Park, and Mike Brennan, and our city treasurer. Thank you. Who didn't stand up? Alderman Deuter. Alderman Deuter, go ahead and stand up. Our new state representative. I didn't see Mark Mulliner stand up. Where's Mark? 24 years, you get to stand up. Go ahead. Thank you. And of course, I want to acknowledge my predecessors who were here, Tom Marcucci. Thank you. Pete DeCiani. And Steve Morley. Well, a couple of comments. I want to give a belated thanks to former Mayor Morley on the peaceful transition in office we had back after the April 2021 election. I prepared a mayoral resolution. I'm going to be pardoning you and your entire family. So when I looked at the computer and saw those parking tickets, don't worry. And I always count on former Mayor DeCiani because people say, you have the inside word from city staff. I go, no, it's from the P's. Either I hear it from the Patch or Pete. That's who calls and gives me the news. We have our school board members here. I saw Kara Cafario and Keisha Campbell, our superintendent. If you'll, anyone else, please rise. Thank you. And we have some park board representatives. Would you please rise and be acknowledged? And thank you for coming out today. Thank you. President Graff. And I should have had Jim Rogers rise too. He's our park director. I hope he's here today. I did see him. Thank you. All right. All right, so that's as much of the speech as I got a chance to rehearse, so let's see how it goes from here. So they tell me I have about 30 minutes, which for Tom Marcucci would have been his warm-up, but for reasons I'll mention, I'm going to be featuring our police department this morning, and I don't want to in any way slight the fine work of our other departments or city staff. Public safety has remained a priority for not only me, but our entire city council. In 2024, Smart Asset, which is a financial website, ranked the safest suburbs in the United States. They looked at 360 major metropolitan areas, not only at crime statistics, but other metrics. To be considered, you had to be a population of at least 5,000. You had to be within a 40-minute drive of one of the 100 largest cities in the country. And I was pleased to congratulate Oak Brook's mayor because they're the 9th safest community in the country. But we're 8. So, I also wanted to note that we are ranked number 8 in terms of DUI enforcement by the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists, which shows our commitment to traffic safety as well. In 2022, the council and the department heads met and we put together a strategic plan for our goals for the next 4 years, and one of our goals was improving traffic safety and traffic flow. We started doing traffic studies in our neighborhoods in 2023. So the idea was to shift from looking at individual streets and intersections to reviewing entire neighborhoods, which would constitute about a half a square mile. We hired a traffic engineering firm to help us do this. They've worked with both our police department and our public works department. And Stan Balicki, I think our director, brought this idea forth. They looked at field observations, speed studies, traffic counts, crash reports. They did some modeling. We had open houses. We just, I think, did our 3rd and 4th neighborhoods in February with open houses. And what we've done is instead of having a patchwork of different traffic signals, we now have a plan to make Elmhurst a better, safer place traffic-wise. One of the remarkable outcomes was that I would predict over the years you'll see less and less, and pretty soon no yield signs. We found that when there's a violation, it's difficult for police to issue a ticket. It's a little bit gray area, and when people pull up to the yield signs, they often forget to look for bicyclists and pedestrians as they approach the intersection. So this is some really good work. We also began a public awareness campaign. You might see some signs about slowing down, and as I've mentioned before, who's speeding around town? We are. So we're trying to get an awareness. I think the old "It's Our Town, Let's Slow Down." We didn't launch it till after the November election so that our signs wouldn't be lost in a sea of campaign signs. But if you want a sign, I think you contact City Hall and they'll get one. Please don't put it in the Parkway. And we hope to step up. I've always had the hope that we can step up some traffic enforcement. I think nothing like a good warning ticket will help get people in the right mind frame. Also for this year, there's a new state law that requires body cameras for all municipal police officers. Elmhurst was ahead of schedule. All of our police officers, and I see the chief's wearing his body camera. I was talking very carefully to him this morning. This is an issue that came out from the shooting in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014, where there were so many different conflicting witness statements, no one was exactly sure what happened. And I think there was some trepidation of police officers having every movement recorded, but it's turned out that these body cameras almost always exonerate the police officer as opposed to implicating them in some sort of misconduct. So I'm going to talk now about the police station. I have to be careful, I may say police department, we're not getting a new police department. I'm going to spend a little time because this is something that's of interest and importance to me, and I think it should be to the community as well. If you're not interested in a new police station, you can go ahead and take your phone out for 10 minutes. That'd be fine. You can play something else, read an article. But by way of background, we had a space needs analysis that was done by a police architect that we hired back in 2017. And this issue first came before the City Council in 2018 when I happened to chair the Public Affairs and Safety Committee. It was largely deferred by something called COVID or something that happened in between. But it's been back before Chair Brennan on the Public Affairs and Safety Committee this year and maybe a little bit of last year. And there's been a lot of discussion in the public questioning, do we really need a new police station? I think there's two problems I want to highlight. The first is space. The study that we contracted for in 2017 said that we, for the number of police officers, the size of the community, would need a police station of about 54,000 square feet. Our current police station has 31,000 square feet, which means we're currently operating with a 23,000 square foot deficit in our needs, which means we have about 60% less space than we need. So space alone is one issue. The other one I will call is the design and functionality of the police station. Now, it may look good from the outside, but that's not how we judge a public building, and that's, I think, a comment that I and a lot of aldermen hears, like you drive by and it looks great. So do I, maybe, but you don't know what's going on the inside, so I'm not going to tell you. So there's not only insufficient space, but the police station was designed in a manner that doesn't allow our police department to operate effectively. A police station should be designed by an architect that has experience in police stations and understands the special needs. Ours was designed by an architect firm that to this day has never designed a police station. It seems it was built more for style, and I think that was part of what was expressly stated. There's a big, beautiful spiral staircase in the middle. No one would ever have seen it except for, well, I won't name people who've seen it from, I guess if only if you're processing. But it's not only takes up a lot of useful space, it interferes with the functionality. And if you probably haven't been in there, but if you think of the Thompson Center, which was our Chicago state office building for the state of Illinois until about a year ago, it's a beautiful building, great space, but about a third of it was empty space because it was designed to look great as opposed to the functionality. I was also told that the way it was designed was the city council provided a budget, said here's X number of dollars, go out and build what you can. We look at it as what do we need, how much is it going to cost, and how are we going to pay for it, and that's the way you got to do it if a building's going to function and function in the long term. Many of the building systems are at end of life and are going to require costly repairs. If you ever drive by the police station in the summer, you'll see a shipping container-sized air conditioner outside because the air conditioning failed. It's in the attic. To replace it, we'd have to tear the roof off the building, which would be extremely costly. There have been incidents of the broken pipes where raw sewage has flowed into the police station. The masonry is deteriorated. If you go up to the front, you'll see the columns are shifted out of alignment. Our shooting range is shot. And it's really at end of life. And under modern policing, our officers have to train on high-powered rifles, which this range won't allow them to do. Police operations have changed a great deal since the 1980s, and the current station doesn't accommodate modern operational safety or even accessibility demands. So the building's really negatively affecting our police operations. Now, when I started writing these out, I could go on for 45 minutes and detail these for you, but I want to give you just a few examples. And as I say, a lot of these are in the report that was issued. We've put together a number of videos. I think there's about 10 of them that are on our website, and you can go and look at them, and it's kind of like a virtual tour, and you can see some of the operational difficulties that's being experienced. So I'll rattle off a few. Evidence. We don't have the room for an evidence room that allows us to process evidence with the kinds of technologies we have. Laws have changed over the years, and we're required to maintain evidence for much longer. We're virtually out of space to store evidence, which has to be secured in a secure location. In the 1980s, what was cybercrime, computer crime? It didn't even exist. We don't have space to put in the computers and peripherals to do the evidence investigations that we have to do for computer crime and cybercrime. We have a Sally port, which is a fancy word for garage, where we transfer prisoners from the police vehicle into the holding area. And it's designed like the garage you probably have at your house, where there's enough room to get the door open and struggle with the bag of groceries, not to take out a prisoner of some large size, perhaps, in a safe manner. That not only endangers our police officers, but exposes us to potential liability. The lockup itself is designed so that a police officer who's processing a prisoner has to have his back to the prisoner. And if you look at the hallway where the holding cells are, it's a row of doors that open like your closets, which are dangerous for police officers. They're trying to put in and take out prisoners. A modern police station has sliding glass doors where you can see into the cell and you can safely open the door slightly to have better control. Again, safety, liability issues. You've heard of the ADA? Well, you wouldn't have in 1980 because it didn't exist until 1997. Our building doesn't meet any of the accessibility requirements of the ADA. I don't think there's any ADA accessible toilets. We have one of our crime analysts is in a wheelchair. I've seen video of him trying to navigate the hallways. It's just not in compliance. If we do any kind of renovation, if we didn't build a whole new station, ADA would kick in and we'd have to meet all of those requirements. Locker rooms. Police officers carry much more equipment than they carried back in 1980. Stun guns, defibrillators, body cameras, so there's a lot more equipment they have to store. Have you heard of female police officers? Not so much in 1980. So our locker room, I think by next year, by the end of this year, will be out of space in our women's locker room. The juvenile holding area. Juveniles and adults are supposed to be processed separately. That's the law. I don't turn the camera off a minute, but I don't think we're in compliance. I could go on, but I'm just saying, if you look at the totality, you'll see that there's no question that we need a new police station. We fully explored renovation, adding on to the building, and we determined that a new police station, is the best, most cost-effective option. So why does this police facility matter? A modern police station is essential to high-quality, efficient police safety services. As I mentioned, there's legal liability arguments. And I want to say, if you're not aware of it, after all the social unrest, getting police officers to apply is a big deal. There used to be, I'll make up some numbers, but I think they're pretty accurate. Maybe we'd have a police officer test and there'd be 100 or 150 applicants, and there might be 25 now. And by the time you weed through who's actually qualified, it's sparse pickings. And we aren't the only ones who are looking for new recruits. So if you're a brand new police officer and you test in Elmhurst and Downers Grove, where they have a beautiful, not extravagant, but a beautiful modern police department, you say, well, where would I rather spend my 20, 25-year career? So it has an effect on that as well. And I will say, we're Elmhurst. We are Elmhurst. And our police department's motto is providing the best. And so we have to provide our police officers with the best so that they can do what they need to do as well. So the cost estimates are about $48 million at this point. It's a lot of money. And I will say, for as long as I've been on the council, we've always been good stewards of the tax dollar. I like to remind people that when the legislature tells us how much we have to contribute for police and fire pensions, that is the amount by which we raised property taxes. But since 2010, we've never raised property taxes. And I know you say your bill is going up, but it's not the city that's raising those taxes. We have a very small portion of the tax bill. I'm not pointing at anyone, don't worry. So our finance committee looked at all the options, and they finally decided on, and the goal was not are we going to do it right now, but can it be done in a cost-effective manner? And by raising the hotel-motel tax by 1%, by timing bonds that will be paid off as we put in new bonds, it would come down to a cost of $53 for a resident that has a $500,000 house. $53. It's not being built now, no property tax increase now, and I want to thank Chairman Toludo and the entire Finance Committee for that fine work, and Director Christina Coyle, who I know probably did most of the work. But that's the cost to bring Elmhurst into the modern era in policing. I will mention we've maintained our AAA bond rating, and we've once again received the Governmental Finance Officers Association Awards for both excellence in budgeting and financial reporting. So we are watching your dollar. Okay, that's all for the police station. But there's more. So, and by the way, I hope you'll look into this. I feel that there's a lot of education that needs to be done in the public look at the report that should be online. I'm going to ask our city manager to make sure it's easily accessible, that 2017 report, and I also want to invite you to look at those videos. So let's talk about our fire department. They've responded to over 7,000 calls for service this year. Calls keep going up. We've retained our insurance services organization Class 1 rating. What does that mean to you? Well, this rating places Elmhurst in the top 2% of Illinois fire departments. Only 29 departments in Illinois have received that top rating. There are about 38,000 nationwide ISO-rated communities, and only 500 nationwide have received this designation. So it's quite an achievement that we maintain that quality. As Rich Reichert mentioned, the First Responders Memorial was dedicated at the fire station at the south end of town, and looks particularly great at night. I don't know why, but drive by. We're finalizing a design for our new training tower. That's another facility that's probably looks like it's been set on fire too many times. And significantly, I'm proud to say that the fire service is also one that where it's difficult to attract candidates. I guess the current generation doesn't like to work 24 hours on and then have 2 days off. I don't know, I'll take that job, but I think I'm too old. So good things at the fire department. In terms of economic development, we rewrote our entire liquor code, which, by the way, we had 27 different classes of liquor licenses. Every time something new came to town, someone wants to have a place where you paint pictures while you have a glass of wine. That's a new classification, you know, art and wine, I don't know. But we simplified it down to about 4 classes, and that makes things a little easier to administrate. We carefully reviewed and made sure that we're charging a fair fee for our liquor licenses. We've installed a new system that processes our licensing and permits in a more efficient manner. Our economic development people oversaw the new guidelines for outdoor dining, which remains very popular in Elmhurst. When you walk through town on a summer night, you feel like you're in a resort town. It's got a tremendous vibe there. Public Works, we've completed some major infrastructure projects. The bridge over Park Avenue, on Park Avenue, I should say, over Palmer Drive has been completed. I remember when they started that, I guess that was the first time when I moved here 28 years ago they were doing it, so I guess it was time. And, you know, I always want to thank Public Works in times like this where when this weather hits our water pipes, and it happens in every suburb. I was on the call with the mayor of Roselle. He said they had 5 breaks in 2 blocks. So we have ours, and those are the guys that are out there at night taking care of our streets, making sure our water comes back on. So I think Dave Oberg's here. So we broke ground on a new public performance space that was fully funded by an Illinois Department of Natural Resources grant and some private sector funds raised by our Elmhurst Heritage Foundation. It'll be right next to the museum building, and I think that's going to be opening ready for this summer. We broke attendance records at the museum this year with some major exhibits. The first exhibition was the 2024 Lost Chicagoland Department Stores. I don't know if they found them yet, but it set an all-time new record for attendance, and I got to say it was one of my favorite exhibits there. A few other things I think are of significance. The Elmhurst Center for the Performing Arts continues to look like the big dream that will actually come true. They've purchased a couple buildings on Park Avenue. They've signed a contract with Ryan Development, and they're in the stages of finalizing their plans to move forward and come before the City Council. That'll be a major coup to have something like that in downtown Elmhurst. The Vine opened in June. It's 80% occupied. I know the Patch will report it as Vine still 20% vacant. It's an inside joke. But there's continued interest and capacity for more transit-oriented development housing, meaning, you know, that kind of housing which is close to downtown to walk to the train. We as a city are still mindful of the need for entry-level housing for people, if you have children who want to move to town or for seniors who want to downsize, and I'm told not to say anything about Villa Park in these comments, so that you shouldn't move there, but we want to have options here. So we're going to be exploring that kind of affordable housing as we go into 2025. We had a couple of significant closings downtown Elmhurst. A long time after many years, York Furrier's closed, and there's a new development coming there. And after many weeks of business, Kong Dog closed down. I had to mention that one. Victory, one of their loyal customers here. Give them a tissue. Victory is redeveloping its restaurant, so I think there'll be an outdoor garden, so a lot of great things are happening downtown. Some things that are new, our Walkers and Rollers group has been around for a couple years. I appreciate the efforts they're doing to make Elmhurst the most bikeable and walkable friendly suburb. Our public arts commissions have been around for a couple years. They with City Center led to the Umbrella Sky project that you see down in Schiller Park Walkway and in front of the 255 building and near the library. They brought the Olmec head statues to the Prairie Path, and I think from my talk with the chair, we have some more exciting projects. In terms of the schools, we saw Field School open, the second new school after Lincoln School, which is, it shows our residents do want to take care of our schools. The university is broken ground, and they should finish this year on their new medical sciences building, which is one of the first new projects in probably a couple decades. And the hospital is building a new office building right directly east of here. I do want to particularly mention the Elmhurst Park District that successfully passed its first referendum in more than 50 years for almost $90 million to build a brand new facility where the Wagner Center is that'll have indoor sports, fields and courts, whatever, and that will help us look like the kind of city we should be. It will also pay for another new band shell. We'll be rocking here over next to, I believe it's Wilder Park. And with the urging of Alderman Veramus, the Park District opened Pick Park, I like saying that, a new playground in the Pick subdivision with the help of a $340,000 grant from the state of Illinois. And they've begun construction on Canine Corner Dog Park, which will be opening late spring or early summer. So all in all, and I, right on schedule almost. Question is always, what's the state of our city? It's excellent. We have a lot to be proud of, and we thank all of you for helping it to be the great city that it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Levin, and he has indicated he'd be glad to take just a few questions.
Well, I guess we answered all the questions.
Bueller, do you have a time frame for a new police station? What's your, I know you get
Well, the way we're planning and doing is we're going to do it in phases. We want to raise the funds. It'll cost about $3 million to do the design and engineering, and we'll pause then. We'd like to start that in 2025. That would take us probably till close to the end of 2025, so it's probably a 2 to 3 year project. And the methodology is we would build it at the same place. We own an office building at 180 Park, so we'd move the administrative operations there. We'd demolish and rebuild the police station, and when we, and actually part of the plan for financing is, and we're not locking into anything, it's probably to sell 180 Park so that we can contribute those funds towards the cost of the police station. Okay. Mr. Benson.
Sir, Mr. Mayor, with the change of administrations in Washington and yesterday's declaration of the elimination of DEI policies, how will the city of Elmhurst look at DEI and diversity and inclusion in employment and work standards?
Thank you for that softball question, Mr. Benson. You will not be getting a pardon. I don't really, it's interesting because I'll go off topic a little bit. Well, I won't go off topic. We in the city and in Elmhurst, we try to respect every resident, and that's been my personal philosophy. I think that's the philosophy of the council. So whatever you call it, we're going to take care of our people.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Other questions? All right. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you again, Mayor Levin. Do you think maybe Chief McLean would deputize us on our Harleys if he needs some help? Maybe issue us a squirt gun or something like that? John Quigley was in my ear over there, imagine that, and he wanted you all to know that in the Elmhurst Chamber Directory, the First Responders Memorial is on the front cover, the night picture. It's beautiful. Every door direct mailed to over 14,000. Did I do that all right? 20,000? Sorry, Jennifer.
19,800.
I did a couple of quick other things I want to mention. I mentioned the E-Town Lowdown podcast with Jennifer Vreemus and her mother. I see Abby Cannon here of Aunt Tina's Kitchen. If nobody's been to Aunt Tina's Kitchen at Weston Lake, you ought to try it. Great place, great food. But we're going to have Abby and her sister on a podcast next week. Look for that to drop in about 2 weeks. And all I'm going to say is it will tug at your heartstrings. It's a neat story. I feel like I'm cheating on Fresh Start Cafe today every Thursday with a bunch of old, handsome guys like me. I have breakfast. We're not there. But Fresh Start has supplied breakfast here this morning. New owner Janie over there with Heather, who's been here for a long time. And then I want to thank the staff here at Community Bank of Elmhurst. You have no idea how much work this takes to set up, and they do it seamlessly. I had a conference call conveniently scheduled for about setup time yesterday. And I came up and it was pretty much set up. So please give my staff, my fellow employees, a round of applause. You know, we have a great community, and it's because we have a lot of folks who volunteer to help others, whether it's with a formal charity, government service, or just helping a neighbor. And that's the kind of people that are in this room and that work together to make us the best that we can be. And I just want to end with a quote from Mother Teresa. I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together we can do great things. Thank you. Have a great day and a great 2025.